Alright, so hey everyone. Today I want to take a look at the Deadzones for the Twisted Tower demo. This is being demonstrated on PC, on Steam, and specifically with an Xbox controller, though I think PlayStation controllers function identically. So, getting into it, for movement, we have about a 19% axial dead zone, and that creates a central square of no movement. Axial dead zones apply to the entirety of each axis, so if your stick is anywhere within these regions, you'll be moving in one of 4 directions, and you only start seeing diagonal movement occur when you break out of both axis dead zones, which is represented by these green regions. And there's not a nice open stretch, but it seems like there's only 8 directions available. Once you break into one of these green regions, you slowly blend into a very hard angle. So if I move over here and just nudge into the green region, suddenly I'm moving at what seems to be 45 degrees. And actually we might be able to more clearly see that when looking straight down. As far as the movement speeds, it seems like you move at a flat speed once you're beyond the dead zone. However, so to demonstrate that, these are all the same speed. However, for very small values right below it, it seems to just control how long it takes for you to build up to your full speed. And then sprinting is just a multiplier for your movement. Oops. But for the camera, we have about a 12.5% radial dead zone. With full diagonal movement, so we do have full granularity as opposed to movement. So I'm just bobbing right over the vertical axis, but this is very clear when looking straight up or down and looking for horizontal movement, which would be diagonal movement if it wasn't capped. So there is full diagonal movement. And the acceleration curve is linear. It starts at 0 and then builds up and appears to cap at 92.5% and then flatlines the rest of the way. This curve appears to be applied radially, though that's the distance from the center of the stick or the dead zone rather than off each individual axis. That doesn't really matter for linear curves because a linear curve functions the same whether it's applied radially or axially. But I think it's radial because the maximum diagonal magnitudes, you can see that my stick can lean further than this circular range, and ordinarily that would mean that your diagonals are faster than your cardinal movements, but they are capped in this game, which is good, so that if you move 110%, it's just treated as if you moved 100%. So all your directions at full tilt are exactly the same percentage of your total speed. The horizontal and vertical sensitivities are the same. There is a single sensitivity slider, but if there's only one slider, it's good that the vertical and horizontal sensitivities are the same. So the camera is overall pretty good. There is a final dead zone in the radial wheel. So we have a large radial dead zone for the wheel. And I regularly recommend having large dead zones for radial wheels because one, they increase the arc range that you use to select options. So that is this range right here. As the dead zone gets smaller, that range gets smaller into a kind of point of your pie slice, and it becomes easier to accidentally bleed into adjacent categories or selections, whereas it's much easier to select the option you want with a larger dead zone size. The selection ranges are basically perfectly divided into 8 directions, but there is some minor offset. For example, the right top selections are slightly biased to the right, and all the other ones are slightly off, slightly rotated, but this is completely negligible in practice, and this is a great radial wheel. So we have, in the demo, you just get 3 weapons, but you, the wheel registers instantly, and you can select weapons very quickly. So this is a great implementation of the wheel, both in its responsiveness as well as the larger dead zones, helping to more reliably swap to weapons you want. So that about covers things. The requests I could give, if I go back to this graph, for movement, I think it would be nice to see this movement changed to a radial dead zone with full diagonal movement. 8 directions at 1 speed certainly works. Obviously, mouse and keyboard players have to deal with that. But since the thumbstick can offer much more granularity, it'd be nice to have a full 360 degrees available with perhaps some movement granularity as far as your speeds. But the speeds don't matter too much, since in combat you're going to be moving full speed anyway. But at least having more angles could be nice. For the camera is actually pretty good, but what we could have is dead zone options to control the size of the dead zones. Smaller dead zones make it easier to make precise adjustments, and 12.5 is actually a relatively small dead zone compared to most others, but some players, like 5% or lower, and that would cater to those, but some others who have very severe stick lean may want larger dead zones to avoid drift. I think a curve option would always be appreciated, though the base sensitivity in this game is quite low, so linear curve may not be uncontrollable even at max sensitivity, which is what you're seeing here. One thing that could benefit the aiming, or at least as an option, is an option to disable aim assist. When passing over enemies and certain objects, your sensitivity will drop, and it'd be nice to have an option to disable that. That can feel kind of disorienting when that occurs. Though this game, at least the enemies don't move particularly fast. Who knows what they'll be in the full game, but having an option to toggle that would be nice. Otherwise, this game does control overall pretty well. That where it matters in the camera, it's pretty good, having a radial dead zone, full diagonal movement, and a relatively small dead zone at that. So that's what's most important, and it certainly helps, but a few additional options and improvements for the movement stick could help it feel that much better. So that covers things. So thanks for watching, and everyone, have a great rest of your day.